Welcome to this Taxwise webinar. All of our webinars do have accompanying notes which you can download just to the left here, and they're also all CPD accredited. We do hope you find these of value, and let me hand over to Mercia. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Norman Allison from Mercia Group. Just a short 5-10 minute presentation on travel and subsistence for the self-employed, which, as you're very much aware, is an ongoing issue with the revenue. We've had a number of cases over the last few years, the Dr. Samardian case, and more recently, of course, the Tim Healy case, which you'll recall he lost his case, the actor renting a flat in London, a 3-bedroom flat apparently, because he wanted his friends and family to visit him, and he was not allowed the appropriate costs. We've had a couple more cases come through the tribunal, which I thought I'd just briefly run through with us today. So this is an area that's constantly being looked at by the revenue, it would appear. The first case is the case of Dr. David Jones, a first-tier tribunal case, October last year. He was a consultant in private practice. He was also employed by the Gwent NHS Trust. He had an office at home, which apparently we're told he dealt with administration. Carried out quite a bit of research there as well, and in effect he was claiming all of his travel from home to the hospital travel costs, and effectively back again once he'd finished work at the hospital, back to his house. The revenue were happy to allow the travel between the hospitals. The amount of tax at stake here was potentially £8,000, but clearly the revenue were not happy to allow the travel between home and the hospitals and back again. Taxpayer claimed that he was an itinerant worker, which again is a constant theme we do see in a number of these cases we presented before the tribunal. The tribunal considered this one, and they did look at the Samardian case. And there was a quote in the Samardian case where they basically said travel from home, even where it is accepted that it is a place of business and another place of business, will not be deductible other than in very exceptional circumstances. And in that case, they went on to actually give an example of such an exceptional circumstance. For example, let's say a doctor who was seeing the patient at the hospital, which is accepted was a place of business, who then realised that actually he'd left his notes at home in his office. So what he needed to do very quickly is drive back home, pick up those notes, and then get back to the hospital before seeing the client. That was accepted as a special trip and would be an allowable cost. But those circumstances were clearly not present in this particular case, and what we had here, again, a constant theme we see is that we've got a pattern of regular and predictable journeys, predictable attendance at those hospitals. And basically the tribunal concluded that, again, part of the journey effectively was here is to enable the taxpayer to live away from his place of work, and on that basis not allowable. The other case that came through, again, still in the lines of the medical profession, is the case of Dr. Sharat Jain. This case was heard at the tribunal before Christmas last year, December 2015. This doctor lives in Kent, and in addition to his NHS work, he prepares medical reports for litigation purposes. Consultations carried out in Tyne and Wear, and indeed Bedford, and he visits those hospitals once a month to have his consultations with the clients, and he stays over, stays at a hotel, etc. The actual reports, which are fairly lengthy, he actually completes at home. We are told they would take typically between 2 and 3 hours to complete. And in effect, the revenue had a look at his 2010-11 self-assessment and basically said that you can't claim any of this, none of the travel, hotel costs, subsistence costs, because those hospitals are effectively places of business, and what you have here is travel from one place of business, i.e. your home, to another place of business. And again, what we have here, looking at it, that the tribunal considered, again, you've got very much this establishment, this pattern of predictable and regular journeys. They did, though, accept that the visits were less frequent than the Samardian case, and actually more work was done at home than what typically was done in the Samardian case, but they still accept that the costs were not going to be allowable, and also the subsistence claims wouldn't either be allowed either, because obviously the travel would need to be allowable in order to have the generally have the subsistence allowable as well. So he didn't get any relief joy on that, and the final sting in the tail for this particular taxpayer was that he'd actually prepared his accounts on a cash basis, when he wasn't entitled to. He didn't actually meet the qualifying criteria. So as well as having the travel and subsistence costs disallowed, basically the tribunal did accept that his turnover should actually be increased by somewhere in the region of about £93,000, which so clearly not the best result for this client. So again, a couple of more recent cases on this constant theme we've been seeing over the last few years. Look out for our clients, I say, were these regular and predictable journeys between home, place of business, and other places of business, and again warn clients clearly that it's going to be very difficult, I think, moving forward to actually get relief on these costs.